Americans in Berlin by Nathaniel Barron. There is this nasty prejudice floating around the world that all Americans are, well, stupid. I hear it all the time, especially when it comes to girls. No offense, my German friends say, but American girls are really, really stupid. Why is that? Don't worry, no offense taken. I mean, my mother and my fiancé just so happen to be American females, but you know, that's just a coincidence. How could you have known? At first, I thought it was just one of those typical American prejudices that arise from Europeans watching too many isolated YouTube clips of our nation's least articulate members being quizzed about current events and fourth grade geography. You know, that all Americans are fat, own 15 guns, and can't point to Canada on a map. I used to say, well, you're just demonstrating your ignorance when you make blanket statements about an entire country that you've never even visited. That usually shut them up. But as I spent more and more time away from home, my ear began to undergo the strangest, almost imperceptible change. At first, when I would hear someone speaking my native tongue, a small snippet of a conversation from a passing tourist perhaps, or a couple fellow expats chatting on the U-Bahn, I would get this warm feeling like a care package for my ear, full of Reese's peanut butter cups and macaroni and cheese. But ever so slowly, it began to change. My ear began to detect things that I hadn't noticed before. That man is speaking a bit loudly for the subway, I would think to myself, or, wow, that girl is making rather gratuitous use of the word like. My friends and family back home assured me that what in fact was happening was that I was becoming an asshole. But that wasn't it. I wasn't annoyed to be around these people. It was just my ear. It was a bit like how they say you start to hear different frequencies as you get older. I was just picking up on some frequency which had thus far been inaudible to me, and it was a frequency which, well, isn't our country's finest quality. And it wasn't just the nasal tone. The French are nasal too. And it wasn't just the ear-piercing, concrete-penetrating decibel level. Italians are every bit as loud. The people that I met were just starting to sound stupid. I suddenly found myself agreeing with German friends as a tour group would walk past. God, why does everyone sound like Alicia Silverstone from Clueless these days? What was happening to me? Was my family right? Was I becoming a dick? And then, one day, as I was sitting in a Berlin beer garden with a few friends, I finally realized what it was. It wasn't the nasal tone. It wasn't the constant shouting. It was something much, much worse. A friend of mine is going to come join us, said my English friend, Chris. He's American too. He just got here. I think you'll like him. Great, I said politely, not wanting to be that kind of expat that I hate, the kind who doesn't want to meet anyone else from his home country, who wants to think that he's the only American that has ever moved to Berlin. The more the merrier. When he arrived, he turned out to be a raging hipster, but that was to be expected in Berlin. The clothing was bordering on the ridiculous. A V-neck t-shirt that was far too low, moccasin-like shoes with no socks, and a silk-screen Jutebeutel that said, "A DJ is not a jukebox." My initial instinct was to hate him, but I did my best to suppress it. You were new here once too, so I told myself. Berlin doesn't belong to just you. Give him a chance. He sat down at the table and we said hello. He seemed nice enough. So where are you from? I asked him, trying to be friendly. Oh, well, I mean, I pretty much come from all over, he said mysteriously. Jesus, what a bullshit answer! The hate began welling up inside me again. For example, I said patiently, well, I mean, I was born in Canada, but then, like, when I was 3, my family, like, moved to New York, and then I went to school in Boston for a few years. There, that wasn't so hard, was it? You're from Canada, New York, and Boston. I took a deep, calming breath. What are you doing here in Berlin? I continued. I mean, I'm doing lots of different stuff. You know, I'm actually an artist. I, like, went to school for it and stuff, so I'm gonna get into that scene. But, like, everybody's doing that too, so, you know, I'm gonna try to get into some other stuff too. I mean, I was thinking about doing something in a couple different genres, you know? I shot a glance at Chris to see if he was suffering as well, but he seemed not to mind. Maybe it's just me, maybe I really am an asshole. But you know, like, for money, I do some English classes and stuff, and that's cool and all, but I don't really know if I want to do that long term. The money's good, but you know, that's not really why I moved to Berlin, you know. It's like good to have a steady income and all, but I'm thinking about doing something more like underground, like working in a club or something. Fucking Christ! That's it. You teach English, but you want to be an artist. That's great. We do not have all day to wait for you to complete your sentences. Plan out your words in your head before you say them to me. I couldn't take it. Even Chris was beginning to squirm at this point, but his Britishness wouldn't permit him to do anything except smile and listen politely. What was it about this man that made him so terrible? It wasn't just what he was saying. I've been listening to this hipster bullshit for 4 years now. It was how he was saying it. And then I realized, this is how children speak. Children speak not to communicate. They speak because words are fun to say, and because people have to listen to you because you're a fucking child. So they talk in meandering sentences that seem to go nowhere, and our parents have just to nod and smile and say, that's nice, sweetie. Hey Mom, I was outside, and I saw a dog, and it was a black dog, but it was holding something in its mouth, and I went over to it, I saw that it was holding a stick. Well, no, first I saw that it was holding a stick, and then I went over to it, and actually it was a white and black dog, because it had these 2 little white spots over its eyes, and Mom, are you listening? It had these 2 little spots over its eyes. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. My face was actually starting to hurt. Why do Americans speak this way? Is it because we as a country don't ever tell our children to shut the fuck up? And then we just grow up assuming that the rest of the world has nothing better to do than to sit patiently and listen as we slowly weave a bullshit tapestry? As I stood at the urinal, my nation's arrested state of mental development laid bare before me. I vowed that from now on I would only speak when spoken to, and that when I answered, I would only answer in short sentences with an absolute maximum of 1 subordinate clause. I suddenly felt more German than I had ever felt. When I got back to my seat, our new friend was still in the middle of the same explanation. Chris was still nodding politely. I sat and waited, and finally, mercifully, he finished. So yeah, that's like my deal and stuff. What about you? What do you do? I looked up, startled at the silence. Was I supposed to speak now? I paused. From this day forth, the world was on a strictly need-to-know basis. I pursed my lips, thinking deeply about what I wanted to say. Once I was satisfied that I had winnowed down my response to the absolute essentials, I answered him. English teacher. I said quickly and concisely. Want to be a writer? Oh, a writer, huh? He said. Well, you must have, like, a lot to say then? Thank you. Thank you, Henry. Thank you all the wonderful writers like Nathaniel Barron, Carvill, Bert, Chapple, Speh, Melanie, and Sir Henry. You can find us on Facebook. Please friend us. It's Berlin My Point Day A. Write stories, send them out to us, and a big round of applause for all of our writers. Guys,